Hey, welcome back YouTube. Today I want to focus this video on stewardship in woodworking with tools. So I have 3 planes that I wanted to show you today. These were all given to me by my grandfather, and I did not know we had a lot of family tools that he's been taking care of in his time. So the first one I'd like to mention, and all 3 of these had a part on them that wasn't functioning or completely there all the way, and I'll explain that. And the first one I'd like to mention, this is a Stanley. This is a number 7 joiner, and if you look, beautiful condition, but if you can look real closely in that top handle, you can see that right about there, there's a there you can see it right there. You can see that there's a difference in the color of that wood. And the reason why that wood looks so different is because that was broken when I got it. And that was my grandfather's personal joiner. And when I got that, that top little part of that toe was broken. And I thought about it for a long time, and I looked at it, and I thought, should I change that? Should I fix that? Should I? And finally I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna cut that where it's broken, plane the top of that, and reattach a piece of walnut to it. And I did, and I was able to shape the top part of that to match my hand better. And you know, you're gonna have to make a decision. You're gonna have to make a decision with old things. And if you're a person that likes old things, you're going to have to make a decision whether you're going to put it up on the wall and look at it and say, I'm never going to change that. It broke, but I'm never going to change that. I'm just going to keep that the way it is. Or you're going to say, you know, I'm going to fix it. Now, what I would steer clear of, and this is hard when you're younger, is to modify stuff. And now in firearms, there's a lot of times where people get these firearms that are really old and they start modifying them, and the first thing that does is it loses value to the collector. And no one wants to see something completely modified, but as a young man or woman, it's very hard not to try and modify something, and I can make it better and this and that. But there's a lot to be said for stock stuff. But you got to make that decision. Are you going to fix it, or are you going to just keep it the way it is? Is it going to be something you can look upon and just idolize, or is it going to be something that you can use in your day-to-day life? And I decided that there's certain things in my life that I'm going to use, and these family tools have been used in my family for a long time. And I'm going to keep that as a steward. I'm a steward myself. I don't feel like I own these tools. I feel like I'm the steward for the time with these tools. And that if I have my kids working with these tools, or eventually my grandkids working with these tools, that they'll get attached to them, they'll know how to use them, and I can pass those on, and they'll become the stewards of the tools until it's time for them to pass them on to whoever. So, the second one, this belonged to my grandfather. The second one belonged to my great-grandfather. And it had a broken handle also. And it was broken right here in the center. The screw was still attached. Everything was there. It was just this handle was broken to the side. And what I decided to do was, if you can see that right there, I decided to put in some clear epoxy. It's turned dark over time with my hand oils. But right here, I decided to put in clear epoxy. And you may ask why. Well, because when my kids ask me, hey Dad, there's epoxy right there and there's clear and you can see this, it used to be broken, what happened? I can say, oh, well, I got it as broken, is probably broken by my great-grandfather, your great-great-grandfather. And I put that clear epoxy there so you'd always be able to see that break. You'd always be able to remember that. But it would be completely workable, and it's a good working handle. And I love this plane. It's a it's a jack plane, and well, I would call it a jack plane. It's a little bit more perfect than a jack plane. I tell you what, this of my great grandfather's, it can do no wrong. A lot of times when I'm planing with it, if I'm struggling with another plane, I'll grab this one and I'll give it a couple swipes, and I'll give it a couple swipes right here. I'll go, that's gonna be perfect. I grab my straight edge, put my straight edge on there, and it's already perfect. I'm like, yep, I knew that was exactly what I was gonna see. So, all right, number three. Number three is my fourth great grandfather's hand plane, and this is a jack plane again. And he was a carpenter, and he actually went over to England to learn metallurgy to be able to make his own irons and chisels, and to be able to make a lot of metal parts during that time period over here, because England at the time was cutting edge in their metallurgy. So he traveled all the way over there. Now, when my grandfather gave me this plane, I didn't know we had anything in the family this old. That went back to my fourth great grandfather. And this has been passed down. There's actually, my great grandfather has his strike marks on here. And you can just see the history of it. It actually kind of makes me a little bit emotional even right now looking at it. But you can see it was resold. That the bottom got a little wore out. And judging by this, I really think that my great-grandfather was the one that resold it, or put in the throat plate right there. One or the other. I'm pretty sure that my grandfather put in the wedge, the new wedge. And when I got this, these cheeks right here, inside here on both sides, you can see right here. And this one right over here, you can see the different color wood. See that? They were so old and dried that when you would hammer in the wedge, the wood was falling out of there. So I made that decision, looking at the work that other people have put inside of it. This plane is so old and everything like that. Looking at the work that other people have put inside this plane, I decided that I would put my own work, and I would take a chisel and chisel out those cheeks, and I would put in new wood right there so that this plane could keep on being used. And I think that's really important to me. Do I use this plane all the time? Is this my workhorse? Absolutely not. Do I use it? Absolutely. Because I can build stuff for myself, my family, and extended family. And I can say that your fifth great grandfather's tools were used in the making of that product, and that just means the world to him. So I'll tell you real quickly what I've done. In some of these places, where there's wood that was really soft, I put in crazy glue, because crazy glue can absorb into the wood grain and harden it, and then you can sand it smooth. And I just cleaned it with some steel wool, oiled it. This is an Ohio Tool Works plane. My grandfather had this iron in. The other iron was worn out, and it was right here, which is still not the original plane. So there is at least 3 planes that went inside of this that went into use of this jack plane. And you know, when I hold this, and this goes back to my 4th great grandfather, you can see that this is wore. This is wore by him personally, so that when he planed, it fit him well. And you know, this is something I never expected to be able to have in my life. I didn't know that some of my family had things that were this old that I was interested in. And it's very special. It is very special, and I believe that I'm the steward of them, and these will be getting passed on. But you might, in your situation, not have something like this where you could say, you know, my grandfather's grandfather, you know, you know what I mean, and keep on going back, but had this and gave this to us, you know, but you don't know, and I didn't know. I always assumed that, man, that would be so cool to have something from family members that have gone on before me. That would be amazing. That would really mean a lot. But I didn't know that that would even existed, but it did. And you might not, but if you don't, you can start right now. Even stuff that I have myself and that I give to my kids, a lot of times that means a lot to them. And that's the beginning of creating stuff that people can be stewards of. You know what I mean? And you can make it, you can invest in people, and you can make a difference, and it will really stand out. And Grandpa, I sure love you and appreciate you. And I'm dedicating this video to you, and I hope when you see it, it brings a smile on your face. And to everybody else, I challenge you, invest in people.